Hey everyone, today we're going to do another bit of a PSA. And the last one was kind of about what to do when you're encountering wild reptiles or amphibians when you're out looking for them or not. This one is going to be a little bit more to do with keeping reptiles as a hobby. And that is a really big one, especially in this day and age. And that is, do not, please, for the love of whatever invisible person or deity you worship, do not release your animals into the wild. There are quite a few reasons why we shouldn't be doing that. The first reason is, for a pretty obvious reason, is why would you ever want to do that? Like just releasing your cat or dog out into the world. And we all know that there are people who, I don't understand why these kind of people exist, but people who do in fact do that is they just let their dog or cat go when they can't take care of it, or if it gets sick, or they just don't want to deal with it, or whatever it is. But with reptiles, especially in this kind of day and age, we really can't be releasing these guys for a number of reasons. First and foremost, joining me today is my personal little derpy face Fiero, the Burmese python. Because of that, everyone knows that there's that huge issue down in South Florida with the Burmese pythons, and now a whole lot of other ones, tegus, lionfish, and everything else. Not to say that there aren't a lot of other very invasive species in Florida, wild boars, even feral cats and things like that do even more damage. But they still are an invasive species. They have, they're allowed to thrive there because they're optimal conditions for these species. And just because, wherever you might happen to live, we're here in the middle of the US, it gets very dry in the summer and it's very cold in the winter. A lot of tropical species like these guys, ball pythons, tegus, they won't make it past fall. It gets too cold. But that doesn't mean that it's okay to release them. They can still potentially do a lot of harm just during the season when you let them go. Or, in all honesty, what has become very apparent in the day and age that we live in, for all intents and purposes, it looks very bad for the hobby and for reptile people. And with reptiles and snakes already kind of having a bit of a taboo or something bad about them to begin with a lot of people, a lot of the South Florida problems to begin with, it leaves a lot of, a bit of a bad taste in people's mouths, which I think is undeserved, but we're not going to talk too much about that. But please, please, please do not release your animals. Something like this guy, who he's not going to do a whole lot of damage compared to like a cat or a dog that gets loose. He's not going to hurt anybody, and he's certainly not going to survive the winter. That's not something that we can do. The next one, which holds a little bit more credence, specifically with the snake that we have here, this is Moose. He is our bull snake. And the other reason why you really shouldn't release animals out into the wild is that potentially if it's an animal that is native to that range, it could have developed while in captivity quite a bit of resistance to diseases that animals in the wild couldn't have and don't have that can decimate native populations. So kind of like what happened when Europeans first came to North America, a lot of the diseases like smallpox and things wiped out a lot of Native American populations. The same thing can happen with an animal that can survive in where you live, that can introduce new pathogens and diseases and viruses to native populations that can really mess it up. So take, for instance, like amphibians. Oh, sorry, buddy. Amphibians, you have to be super careful. Like there's the fungus chytrid, which is going around. It's super contagious. It's killing off thousands and thousands of amphibians every year all around the world. We're not really sure where it got started. It's super contagious, and that's something you have to really, really be worried about. Amphibians in general are very susceptible to diseases and fungi and spreading them. So, for instance, this guy, we did get him from someone from Colorado. You can't sell bull snakes, so he was given to us as essentially an education animal. He was wild caught, but he's been in captivity for years. Now, it would be unwise to release him into the wild because he may have picked something up from regular reptiles because he's been in at least 2 other collections before we got him here. So we don't know what he could potentially have that could be introduced to native populations, which isn't something you should ever want to do. The other thing is that even if you had something that you're just kind of like relocating or pulling something from one area and introducing it to another, the habitats that we have around in urban areas now are very fragmented, which means that they can't support a whole lot of individuals in those certain areas. So even if you were to take a bull snake that you caught in, say, southern Colorado like Lamar, and then I released them up in Fort Collins into a place that couldn't sustain a lot of bull snake populations, that could actually throw off the balance of the food chain in that particular habitat. So if people out there, if you guys can't hold on to your reptiles, amphibians, snakes, turtles, whatever it is, please, please, please try to find someone that you know and respect, that you know will take care of it, another reptile keeper, maybe a specialty reptile store that you know can take them in, or even in most states, there's at least 1 or 2 reptile rescues or humane societies that are that have a lot of skill or are specific to herpetiles, so amphibians, reptiles, and even some insects like and arachnids like tarantulas. Please give them to them. There's never really a fee. There's no judgment. They just want to make sure that everything is done right by them. So, wrapping this all up, I'm really trying not to say super long-winded because I get super ranty and preachy about these things. Please, 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 everyone, regardless of what kind of pet you have, cat, dog, whatever, rabbit, whatever it is, but specifically reptiles and even fish and stuff. Everyone knows about goldfish getting dumped into ponds, and we always just hear about like the piranha and pacu scares and stuff. Please do not just let your animals go. That's not good for them. It's not good for the hobby. It's not good for people in general. So please, 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 if you can't hold on to your stakes, onto your reptiles, please make sure that you find someone that you can trust will take good care of it, or can find someone who can. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. It gave you something to think about. You know, if you know anybody that's kind of getting out of the hobby or having cold feet or something like that, reach out to them. Say, hey, I know somebody, or I think I'd be a good fit, or how about give these guys a call. Reach out to your local reptile rescue humane society. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you can. Hope you guys are having a good day, and I'll check you next time.